You want to start now? Can everyone? Okay, it works. So, hi everyone. My name is Ming Mei. I'm a sophomore, so I'm not a panelist, but today I'm going to be your host of this year's college discussion panel. Today we have 7 panelists who have all gotten accepted or are currently enrolled in good colleges. There's also panelists virtually, I'm pretty sure, on that computer. We will be asking every panelist a series of questions about their high school careers. And at the end of the discussion, we will also open the floor to have you all ask your own questions if they haven't been answered yet. So now I will pass the mic to all of these panelists so that they can introduce themselves. Introduce your high school. Let's say you're from University College in Asia.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Zach, and I'm from the International School of Beaverton, which is located in Beaverton, Oregon. And I'm committed to Nova Southeastern University's BSMD program. It's a school in Florida, and I'm planning on majoring in biology and and minor in public health.
My name is Jory. I live in Lake Oswego and I go to Catlin Gable. I'm going to UPenn in the fall and intending to major in health and societies.
Hi everyone, my name is Lucy Liu. I'm from Weston High School, and next year I'm going to UCLA to study human biology on the pre-med track.
Hi, I'm Sophia Hu. I'm from Catlin Gable High School, and I'll be attending Cornell University and majoring in human health, biology, and society.
Okay, now that we know a bit about the panelists already, we can start with the questions. The first question is, what extracurriculars did you do? What clubs?
So I did a lot of things related to music and health. I volunteered at OHSU for throughout all of high school. I played music in their children's hospital lobby, and I also was a guide volunteer. And then I later became a research volunteer at a microbiology lab over the past few summers. And also at school for clubs. Basically, I was part of Science Ambassadors, which is also an OHSU sponsored club where you teach science to 5th graders. And I was the leader of that club for the past 2 years. And I also started a music club at my school where we perform music at the nursing home nearby.
I would say the most special extracurricular that I did was my Douyin Chinese TikTok channel. So every single day for 2,500 days, I posted a video on my channel to talk about life in America and what school life is like in America to share with people back in China. And besides the fame, 140,000 followers and all the likes and comments, it's really fulfilling to share the culture that you know and kind of bridge the two cultures together. And then within school, I held leadership in a lot of clubs. I was the president of Red Cross Club, co-president of Math Honor Society, officer of HOSA Club, and officer of Psi Alpha Honor Society, and a few more. Those definitely, they were really impactful experiences, and I think colleges really like to see that you're not just a member of a club, that you're also leading clubs in the areas that you're passionate about.
How in depth do you guys want me to go? Because I can talk a little about it or talk a lot. Do you guys care? Wait, raise your hand if you want me to just go over really quickly.
I'm not just for that.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. As much as I like, then I did a lot of community service. I think community service is my biggest thing in high school. I co-founded a nonprofit organization called Vision Envoy, and it was a branch of the Lake Oswego Lions Club. And through this organization, we raised funds for like eyeglass distribution to low-income families. We also hosted like community events like a pancake breakfast and car and boat show and cooked for those events. We also collected like 1,000 pounds of plastic each year to make a bench and donated that bench to different organizations. So that was kind of my big like leadership, learning how to run my organization, host events type of thing. Other than that, I also raised money for cancer. I was in this campaign where you compete with other teams to raise the most money for Blood Cancer United. I co-led a team of 20 people and we raised $43,000 in 7 weeks. And I won Student Visionary of the Year for that. Apart from that, I also did a lot of like advocacy and representation work. So I was with the Chinese Youth and Women organization run by Carrie Yu, if you guys know that. And I was on a lot of runways showcasing my Chinese culture, did a lot of speeches and like events promoting like my Chinese heritage. Um, should I still keep going? What? Okay, sounds good. Yes, boss. I also did research and healthcare volunteering at OHSU. So I was in the pediatrics unit, and I went there every weekend to hang out with kids. And I also did research at OHSU and Legacy. I co-authored a glaucoma paper at Legacy. Apart from that, at school, I was president of my school's HOSA club and my school's AAPI club. Okay, that's pretty much it.
All right, so I kind of knew that I wanted to do medicine like since maybe sophomore. So my sophomore year, so like a lot of my big extracurriculars are pretty focused around medicine. So similar to a lot of these guys, like I volunteered at Legacy Manual, and I helped out like Unit 55, which is like the med surg unit. Helped patients, give them, snacks or like talk to them or give them blankets and stuff. I also talked to a lot of nurses and just restock supplies and stuff like that. I also was a research volunteer at OHSU, did some cancer research, but I didn't like have any co-authorship or anything like that either. And then I was also a teacher assistant for Engineering for Kids, which is a summer camp for younger kids focused around engineering. And I did that for like the past I think 3 or 4 summers. But other than that, I think one of the biggest like distinctions that I was able to make was that I play a lot of soccer. So I started playing soccer at a really young age. And I also played for the Portland Timbers Academy last since like for 1.5 years. I stopped like last year. But anyways, yeah, so soccer was also a really big extracurricular for me.
All right, this next question is pretty connected with the first one. It's just a bit more specific. It asks, what summer activities did you do, and do you think they helped you in your overall college process?
Yeah, so last summer I started doing my like research volunteering at OHSU. And actually I got that from like just cold emailing a bunch of researchers that like I found their work like interesting. So I definitely think having some type of research experience was helpful in my application, especially because I was trying to do medicine. So having some type of work in that or like exposure at least is really useful. And also I think 2 summers ago I did a couple of medical immersion programs. So those types of programs basically give you exposure to what the healthcare field is like. You get to shadow like some doctors or like learn suturing and dissection or get certified in like basic life support and stuff like that. So getting some type of exposure into medicine and being able to show that to admissions officers is really important. Again, especially for medicine. And then I also like over the summer I played soccer tournaments and stuff. So I think it's definitely really important to effectively use your time during the summer breaks.
I think over the summers, I did a lot of volunteering and just hosting events in each of my respective organizations. I remember last summer I started also doing research at OHSU. I think summer is just a great time because at these research labs they expect you to put in like a certain amount of hours each week and you can't really meet that during the school year. I tried to do that and it really stressed me out. I told them I couldn't pull up like half the time. So it was important to have the time to go into these labs and actually like do hands-on work. I did a lot of work with like tissues, which was really cool. I agree with Zach. If you're trying to do pre-med, you definitely want to have that hands-on work to show you actually like know what you're doing and you're actually interested in instead of like just thinking, oh yeah, I maybe wanted to do that. Otherwise, I also went to like some summer programs as well. I did one at Harvard last summer and one at Johns Hopkins last summer. And you can think like, oh wow, that's so cool. Like Harvard and Johns Hopkins was such a big deal. But actually, I wouldn't really recommend those programs unless they're like you do a lot of research and they actually are pretty helpful to you. A lot of these times, these programs at these big name schools, they're just money grabbers. Like and they're not actually really impressive on your resume at all because they're not hard to get into. They don't actually teach you anything most of the time. It's just kind of a good idea to like go experience living at the school. I think that's what they're really good with. That's how I felt with my Harvard one. With my Johns Hopkins ones, it was slightly more helpful, like how Zach said. I got to like listen to this person talk about their pre-med journey, which was really helpful to see. And I also did more hands-on stuff, but the instructor was kind of bad. He just like we were suturing a pig and he just like, oh yeah, go at it, guys, just start cutting the pig up. So again, I just didn't think it was that good. Also, the classes aren't taught by the actual professors a lot of the times. So yeah.
During the summers, I'm mainly focused on my nonprofit called Music Med. So basically, what we do is we provide free music performances for hospitals and senior homes. I founded this nonprofit the summer of my sophomore year, and it started with just me performing at those hospitals. But now we've extended to having volunteers from multiple high schools in the Portland area, and having partnerships with Kaiser and Legacy. And we also founded a new chapter in Boston. So I feel like in the summer it's a great time to do those extracurricular work that takes a lot of time that you wouldn't have time to do during the school year. And also during the summer, it's a great time to volunteer and shadow doctors if you're interested in pre-med. Like the past summer, I shadowed heart surgeons, dentists, and volunteered almost every weekend.
I mean, I did pretty much what the rest of the people did here. Like as I already mentioned, I just did research at a microbiology lab at OHSU. And I also co-authored a paper on the yellow fever virus through that lab. And I guess I can talk a little bit more about some of the other stuff that I forgot to mention in the last question. Over the summer and also during the school year, I also like volunteered for the CFAP, where we did like a bunch of health and tobacco prevention events and other like Chinese cultural events. So those were pretty big during the summer.
The third question is, how many AP/IB classes have you taken? Which AP/IB classes were the most useful for you? And which one was the hardest AP class, and tips?
So for Jory in my school, we actually don't have AP or IB classes, but you can take APs. But I only took 3 since we don't offer the classes, we have to self-study. I took AP Calc AB, AP Biology, and AP Chinese, but I don't think any of them were since I think I was in a special case where my school didn't offer APs, I don't really know if it mattered if I took them or not.
I took 17 APs. Do you guys want me to list them all? Yeah, I did I pretty much took everything that's available in all of the subject areas, whether that's math, science, language arts, or social studies. I think they were all really fun because I had really good teachers at Westland, and they were all content and information that I really enjoyed. I feel like my favorite ones were the AP sciences, like AP biology and AP chemistry, because they were directly related to my major. And I would say the hardest one is probably A Push, AP US History. It's like the famous devil course at my school because our teacher's pretty strict. But I really enjoy that course as well.
Yeah, same with Sophia. We don't got AP classes at Cal and Gable. I took 7 APs. I think I self-studied for 2 of them, and the rest of them, like, it correlated with an honors class. That's what we call like the higher level classes at our school. Otherwise, I think like it was just for the admission counselors, they know that our school doesn't offer APs. So when they see like our AP scores in that like section on the application, they're just like, oh, that's nice to know, or like, oh, they went above and beyond. But I feel like that's not really applicable to a lot of y'all. So
So my school is also kind of unique. I go to international school, so they only do IB. I did take a few AP classes outside of school, but that's definitely like just optional stuff. I took AP Stats, Computer Science A, Psychology, and Physics 1. But those were just things that I was kind of like interested in, and I wanted to take them. But again, that's like completely optional. For IB, I took um again, like our school's pretty small, so they kind of just like prescribed like curriculum for us. So I took chemistry SL or standard level, math AAHL, language arts like language and literature HL, history of Asia HL, and just like other classes I don't remember, like English, HL, like yeah. Anyways, but yeah, like I think, but the hardest class was probably math HL, though I think that like the test was the hardest, but I was able to understand like the topics. And then the most applicable or like the class that I enjoyed the most was probably biology, because again I'm going into medicine, so that knowledge is definitely good to have.
Okay, the next question is, do you think it's important for people to take AP classes in all subjects, even classes that have nothing to do with your interests?
So like I kind of said earlier, like my school is really small, so they don't have like a big, like they don't have a lot of flexibility in terms of course selection. But and again, we're IB only, so I didn't take, like, people usually don't take AP classes. But I would say like for me it didn't matter, but I guess it depends on the person. Like uh I think that it's important to take classes that maybe you're not actually really interested in. Like if you're dead set on doing something, then perhaps it's better to like maximize your credits and stuff and take like all of the AP classes that are relevant to your major that you want to do in college. But also sometimes it might be better to like take some classes that you might not have that much interest in, just to like get a feel for it and be like a more well-rounded applicant.
I kind of see this question as like, do you recommend people take hard classes? And then I would say yes. Like, I feel like the admissions counselors, they're seeing how hard your classes are. They're evaluating you based on how hard your classes are. In high school, it's a time for you to like push yourself if you want to be going to a pretty prestigious college. So, yeah.
I would say yes, you should take as many AP classes as you can for 3 reasons. One is GPA and rank. The more AP classes you take, the higher your GPA will be and the higher your rank will be, which are 2 very important factors that colleges look for. Two is colleges like to see you succeed in hard classes, like good grades in hard classes versus good grades in very easy classes. So you need to prove that you can do good even though you're in all the hardest classes that your school can offer. And reason 3 is that AP credit can help you skip ahead in college. Like a lot of colleges around the US allow you to skip intro level classes if you already took AP for those courses.
Yeah, I can't speak specifically for the AP stuff, or like I can't speak from personal experience, but I would say like what Lucy just said, like yeah, if you think you can handle it, even if it's not related to your major, I think you might as well because yeah, just I guess for like GPA reasons, I know a lot of people who took so many just to like raise their GPA, and I mean they could handle it. Yeah.
The fifth question is, did you take the SAT or ACT? And if you are comfortable, what score did you get?
Yeah, I took the SAT, mainly just since I feel like that was the more popular option. And I got a 1570.
I took the SAT as well. I got a 1580. It was 790 on math and 780 on reading and writing.
I took the SAT too. I took it twice. The first time I got a 1520, and then the second time I improved on one category by 10 points. So my super score was a 1530.
I also took the SAT. My best because I took it 3 times. My best single sitting is 1500, but I was able to super score it to a 1540 because the first time I took it, I maxed out in math, but my reading was not very good. So yeah.
Okay, the next question is when and how did you decide on your major?
So like I said, or actually I first heard of BSMDs from my dad. But I kind of was already interested in going into medicine. So and then I thought of oh, biology is probably the most kind of popular major for people going to medicine, right? So that's just it just came natural to me. But yeah.
I first wanted to be a biology major as well, but then my dad didn't, or my mom and dad both didn't really want me to do it just because if I don't get into med school, which is a really hard thing to do, then with a biology major, they thought that I would just have to become a lab technician, and that wasn't a future that they wanted for me because my mom's a researcher, she doesn't really like it too much. She's biased, and I didn't want to really do that either. So I decided to kind of draw on my experiences shadowing and volunteering in the healthcare industry into my career in major choice. So throughout shadowing, I saw this interaction between the doctor I was shadowing and her patient. It was a video call. The patient was telling the doctor how much pain she was in, except she lived really far away and she had no ability to transport herself to get any care. And I just really, that scene really touched me. It helped me realize how so many people don't have access to the care that they deserve. So many essays I wrote, and my whole the way I was selling myself in the application process, because you do have to kind of sell yourself, was that I was interested in going into the medical field as someone who wanted to advocate for these people who didn't have care they deserve. I wanted to improve health equity, I guess. So as a result, my major was health and societies, which is an interdisciplinary major where people study the social determinants of health instead of just a hardcore science major.
I've always known that I wanted to go into medicine because doctor is a really good career path, and I really enjoy studying AP biology and anatomy. So being a bio major is really natural. But actually, a few months ago, I doubted this choice when I got accepted into the Berklee School of Music, which was my childhood dream. It fulfills my dream of being a pop star and singer and all that. I auditioned and applied for fun, just to try it, why not? But when I actually got it, I was like, wait, should I actually be a singer and pop star instead? But I thought about it a few months ago, and I was like, I could do singing, next to pre-med, but I can't do pre-med next to singing. So I kept with my original choice of a bio major, but I will keep doing singing for sure.
I mean, my major is really similar to Jory's. So since mine is human biology, health and society, which is also just like quite broad. So it's not just biology, but it talks about like social stuff related to it as well. And honestly, like I'm not entirely sure if I want to go into medicine, but I kind of had to choose a major going into that college, because I'm going to the College of Human Ecology. So I couldn't really be on just something.
Wait, since we're on the topic of majors, I wanted to kind of talk about a common myth that people going into the college application process think. I often hear people say like, oh, I should apply to this harder school, but apply for like this easier major. So like, cause certain schools, they have like more competitive majors to get into and also easier majors like gender studies or feminism, and people think that they can kind of shortcut their way into these higher ranked schools by going into this like easier major. But I have to say that lots of times college admissions officers, if you're trying to do that, they can kind of tell that you're trying to do that. And unless you have like an actual story and like passion about gender studies to back it up, like unless your, I don't know, extracurriculars are actually hosting protests to advocate for these issues, then they can kind of sniff you out and realize that you're someone who just wants to go into the school and not actually for this thing. Does that make sense? Wait, where's it going?
Yeah, so I chose this major because since I am possibly sorry, like since I'm possibly gonna go into pre-med, like it gives me the opportunity to look into like other options that are related in the college, and like other health related majors.
The next question is, how many schools did you apply to? And how did you decide on which to go to?
I don't know how many I applied to, but I think it was around like 21 or 22. But like probably like 8 or 9 of them were the UC ones. So those all just fall under one application anyway. I had a really hard time deciding where to go to. And I guess like some of the reasons I eventually decided to choose Cornell was like, well, I guess this is more like personal since I used to actually live by Cornell, like 10 minutes away from it. So I kind of didn't want to go back, but I decided like, first of all, I have some family connections to like people who used to like work at Cornell and stuff, because my mom used to like work at a lab there. Also, also like there's family, like I guess a lot of my family also wanted me to go to Cornell instead. And yeah, there's also like financial reasons as well. Like I was able to get aid from Cornell, versus the places that I was also considering between, but they didn't give me any aid.
I applied to around 20 schools as well. My thinking was that I would choose the college once they choose me. So I didn't really pick and choose which ones I want to apply to because each of them have different pros and cons that you can't really like tell before you actually get to know them. So I just applied to as many as possible that I know I might like, and I feel like it's smarter to pick them after they have picked you.
I was going to apply to I think around 25. But it was like 20 applications because I was gonna apply or I applied to 5 UC schools. And as Sophia said, the UCs are just one application. But I ended up only applying to I think 10 early schools because there's an early round and a regular round. I applied to around 10 early schools and I got accepted to UPenn early. So after that, I was free and I didn't have to apply to any more schools because the ED contract with Penn was binding, I wasn't allowed to apply to any more schools. So yeah, I got really lucky in that way. I think ED is definitely a commitment because you can't like apply to any other schools. You can't like turn around and be like, oh, never mind, I don't want to go to Penn anymore, because that ruins your relationship of the school, of your high school right now, and the university that you were EDing to. Like, I've heard stories where someone rejected or turned down an ED agreement, and then the school just doesn't accept people from that high school anymore. So ED contract is something you kind of have to honor. But because I did the ED contract, I had to let like some of my like other early offers go. Like, I got into the second round of a BSMD program. If you guys don't know BSMD program, that's what Zach is in. It's like directly into med school. So usually people do undergrad and then they have to like really tidy themselves up, like take a whole big test and really work on their application and do a lot of interviews. It's a really long process to get into medical school. So BSND kind of bypasses that and you just get to directly go into medical school. It just makes it a lot less stressful for you. So yeah, in how I came to kind of ED to Penn, I knew I wanted to go to the East Coast, and it was kind of between Penn and Columbia for me. But Columbia just kind of had like some admin issues going on right now, regarding some protests, and also I thought that it was a little too interwoven with the city, so I ended up picking Penn. Yeah, I actually didn't think too much into it. I was kind of chill.
Hey, Joey, quick question.
Hello.
SMD, which one you got in? Just curious.
I went to the second round of the You Picked one, University of Pittsburgh. That one makes you write an 800 word supplement. It was evil.
All SMD is evil.
But yeah, I forgot to explain like what BSMD is. I kind of just assumed everyone knew. But yeah, basically like what Jory said, it's like a conditional admission into a medical school that the undergraduate program is like kind of partnered with. So sometimes like the undergraduate school has their own med school, so they'll like have that partnership. Or like Brown PLME is like the most popular one. It's like Brown University, and then they're like Warren Alpert Medical School. But yeah, so for me, I applied to like I think 28 schools. So definitely more than these people, but I think like a lot of them were kind of just like they weren't even really schools that I would actually have gone to, even if I'd gone in. So like I think it's definitely important, like maybe not like apply to a ton of schools, but apply to like a lot of schools that you actually would consider going to, if that makes sense. For BSMD or BSDO schools specifically, I applied to I think 7 programs, and I got into 2 BSMDs and 1 BSDO. I think the main thing I was considering when like considering between these programs is like the requirements it took to actually matriculate into medical school. So again, they have a lot of them have a lot of like different requirements, like GPA requirements, like how high your GPA needs to be in undergrad to actually go into medical school, or how high of an MCAT you need. Some of them don't even require an MCAT, but some of them do. And for those who don't know, MCAT is like it's kind of like the SAT, but for medical school. So like a lot of people have to take this test to actually like get into medical school. But again, like I think ultimately I chose NSU because they have this unique aspect where you're able to apply out. So a lot of BSMDs, it's binding, where when you go into the undergraduate program, you have to go to medical school. If you like want to apply to a different medical school, you basically drop your conditional admission. But for NSU specifically, they let you apply to different medical schools and still keep your spot in their medical school. And that was probably the biggest reason why I chose NSU over the other programs. And the other program I got into for BSMD is Washington and Jefferson College. They're partnered with Temple's Medical School. And then the BSDO was Rockhurst University and Kansas City University. They have it's like a 7-year program, but yeah.
I think it's really important to have a list that balances safeties, targets, and reaches. Safeties is like schools you'll get into for sure, like U of L, OSU, and targets is like reaches is like the really hard schools, like top 20s, Ivy League, and targets is what's in between. So you can't just like apply to only Ivy Leagues or top 20s. You gotta make sure you have a few safeties and a few targets.
Yeah, I think you can also like customize it based on how competitive you think your application is and how competitive like college counselors think your application is. I applied to less safeties. I think I actually did a kind of smart thing where the BSMD programs, like these schools, they can either admit you to the BSMD program or they can admit you to the undergraduate school. And I kind of thought like, okay, I'll apply to the BSMD program, which is like really hard to get into. Like that's a reach. But if I don't get into the BSMD program, I know I'm gonna get into the undergraduate school. So I didn't apply to like any safeties by themselves. I applied to the BSMD programs and they were kind of like safeties and reaches at the same time. I felt like Einstein.
I actually have a quick follow-up question from that. Do you think there's like a specific just go-to structure or ratio of safety to target to reach schools that you should apply for? Or do you think that really just depends on the kind of person you are and how competitive you think your application is? Either one of you.
I think like what Jory said, it's really just depends on the person. Like it's really highly customizable in terms of like, how many reaches and how many safeties or how many targets you want to apply to. Like, I know people who apply to like 3 schools, like one safety, one target, and one reach, and like they somehow get into all of them or something like that. And then I know other people more like me who apply to like almost 30 schools. So I think it really depends on like your goals. But yeah.
Yeah, I think all of us up here were pretty competitive applicants. We're all a little crazy. That's why we applied to like 20 plus schools. Normally, I feel like lots of people just apply to 10 or like a little more than 10. And it's kind of like you want to have maybe like a little bit, like if it's 10, maybe like 3 really reaches, and then after that you have like 7 left, so maybe like 4 targets and then 3 safeties. I feel like I got a template that kind of says that. If you have a college counselor, they'll probably give you like a template, or you could just look on Reddit or look online, and there's lots of templates.
Yeah, I think 1 to 2 safeties is good because you know you'll get in. And I feel like the category with the most numbers should be the reaches because those are the hardest and most unpredictable. And the number of targets is like in between the safeties and reaches.
Yeah, it depends for everyone, like they all said, and I think also I know like some people who didn't even apply to that many reaches just because like maybe their goals like they don't actually care that much about, like they don't really want to go to an Ivy League or a top 20 school. So like you don't have to apply to them just because everyone else is applying to them. I actually was told by my college counselors that I needed less reaches and I needed to apply to more like targets. So like my initial list was mostly just like a bunch of reaches. So then I had to like add in safeties and stuff. The ratio depends for everyone. Just make sure like that you actually will like are at least somewhat interested in each of the schools. So it's not like you're wasting your time writing an application for a school that you're not gonna attend no matter what.
The next question is, can you describe what the college application process was like for you?
I mean it was quite difficult just writing all the essays. I really didn't like writing any of them. I spent a long time on my like personal statement as well, since I had like written it and then I showed it to my college counselor and she was like, wow, this is really bad. However, this was a different college counselor. This wasn't like the one at school. So my school one would not be that rude. Not rude, she would not be that harsh with me, yeah. So then I had to rewrite all of it in like less than a month. But I think for the other essays, like once you get like a few base essays down, it becomes a lot easier because you can just reuse a lot of the same things. So yeah, because a lot of the colleges like ask similar prompts.
Yeah, I totally agree. At the beginning, writing is pretty difficult because you have to figure out your story and what you want to tell. But like by the end of the process, all the questions, you can see the similarities between them and you can kind of pick pieces from what you have written before together. And for me, my personal statement came really easily. I wrote about my TikTok channel and at my school, the first unit we did in English class was actually a college essay unit. So we had to write it during class, and that like forced me to just focus and write it, and that came really easily.
The application process is evil.
Yeah.
I don't think I've never felt that little hopelessness in my life. But I'm a perfectionist. I'm also a procrastinator, and those two things together are very evil because I feel like I can't write a messy draft. Like I need it to be really perfect. I can't even write down words I feel like aren't worthy. So my school also had a workshop where we had to sit down and just write, and I just kind of sat there through the 2 hours, just like not knowing what to do at all. My first draft of my personal statement, it was kind of like about my family backgrounds, and I it felt pretty meaningful to me, but I also I found this like really competitive, like um I don't know, kind of like that, also kind of like harsh college counselor, and she read it and she's like, "You're a really good writer, but this story's really bad." Like it wasn't about me specifically, it was about my family, and I feel like with college essays, you want it to be about you as a person. So I had to like kind of start over as well. I ended up writing my personal statement about like kind of my Chinese identity, which at first, I really didn't want to do that because I was like, oh my God, I feel like all Chinese girls just write about their Chinese identities. It's so boring. But at the very end, I kind of felt I found a unique story that was unique to me and that no one else could copy. And I think it's really important to be able to find that for yourselves, a story that is just uniquely you and like no one else can imitate. I talked about how I was really insecure in my identity during the COVID pandemic and how there was a lot of like online hate for Chinese people because of like the whole bat eating rumor, and how eventually I was able to find myself or at least be slightly more proud of my identity through modeling How Fool, and then how me and my friends we came together to produce a Chinese centered musical dance production. It's hard to explain, but like we came up with an idea to center four Chinese myths. It was like 盘古、牛郎织女 and 女娲 and never mind, maybe it was three. And basically after that, we wrote a script. I like found music online and I like put all the music together and edited it together. And then I choreographed dance and kind of like acting to go along with it. But it was like a full performance that we performed in front of like numerous stages. We got TV attention from it. And I was able to talk about how not only I found pride in my identity, I helped others find pride in their identity. I also became a leader and a choreographer, a model, a dancer through the whole process. I kind of forgot what the original question was on. Was it just like the process?
Yeah, like just how it was like for you.
It was evil. Don't procrastinate, guys. Like I was writing my personal statement up until October, which is bad. You want to be like writing your supplementals during that time. And yeah, I was just really lucky to get an ED, or else I would have had to spend my entire break writing supplementals every single day for 7 hours, which is what some of my friends ended up doing.
That's actually what I did for winter break. But anyways, so yeah, the college application process was like pretty hard for me as well because the biggest way to like differentiate yourself, I would say, is definitely like the essay portion. And like I had mentioned previously, my reading score on my SAT was definitely not my strong suit. So essays were it didn't come natural to me. I definitely had to spend a lot of time on them. I think the biggest thing that helped for me was just like watching a ton of YouTube videos and finding a bunch of examples online of like what a good essay looks like. Whether that be for your personal statement or for me, I had to write like a why medicine supplemental for like my BSMD applications, or just like other supplementals in general for like other schools. And then I can speak a bit about like the BSMD application process specifically. It's kind of different than like the traditional undergraduate kind of timeline. Basically, for like a lot of schools, I think they require you to submit your like undergraduate application by a certain date. I think it's like October-ish or maybe November. I kind of forgot, but it's like early action. And then once you get accepted into the school, they'll sometimes have like a first interview with their like health professions chair or something. So someone from the undergraduate program will interview you, ask you some questions about like, why medicine and stuff like that. And then if they think you're good enough, they'll select you and send your application to the medical school. And sometimes the medical school will also have like another supplemental application where you have like essays to write. And then they'll screen you again and then select you for a second round interview with medical school. So it's a very long process for WJ, so not NSU, but like another BSMD program that I got into. I started my application, I submitted it in October, and then my medical school interview was, I think, like mid-March or something. So it's a very long process. But yeah.
I have, I just have follow-up question for all of you guys on this essays and process. Did you guys use the AI bot compared to you writing essay or construct your essay? Number one, if so, in what ways?
I kind of did like try using AI a little bit on my essays, but I wouldn't recommend it because I think it's definitely important. Like if everyone can use AI to write their essays, it's gonna make everyone kind of sound the same, right? I think it's definitely important to really use your own voice and really just use your own style of writing to make yourself different. And that's how it makes your essay kind of like unique. I even like if you're trying to fix like maybe grammar is like it's like fine to use AI, I guess, but I think like even if it's like a small mistake, it still makes you sound more human. And in that sense, like admissions officers can definitely like sniff out AI, right? Like it's definitely important to just be true to yourself and kind of come up with those ideas yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. AI has no voice of its own, and after you like, I don't know, because I definitely experimented with like how AI would sound, right? I feel like, and you can tell after reading it a while that like something is sounds AI. You can just, like, you can give me a piece of paper and with writing on it, and I can tell you if it's AI or if it's not. Just because AI writes with like kind of like a roboticness to it that actually doesn't carry any emotion. Um, Otherwise, like I kind of use AI in the brainstorming process. Like I would ask, like, do you think this is a good idea? Or like, do you think this would be meaningful? And it would always validate me. They'd be like, yes, that's totally a great idea. But sometimes after like I would write it according to like me and AI's I don't know, brainstorming session, my essay tutor would read it and be like, this lacks a lot of logic, this lacks like, I don't know, this just like it's not very good, you know. So you can definitely use AI if you if you want it to like not be super good. Otherwise, I feel like more relying on you and like tutors is better.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't trust AI with writing essays because of one simple reason. You're the only one who knows what story you want to tell, and you're the only one who knows how you want to tell it. And AI is not going to know any of that about you. So even if you tell it, oh, write this essay about this, it doesn't have your voice and how you want to structure the whole thing. So you should just trust your voice and you will regret it if you wrote everything yourself.
Yeah, I mean, if you use AI to write it and the like admission counselors or officers can sense that, they're not gonna accept you, so I just wouldn't risk it.
The next question is, Did you visit college campuses in person? How did your visit factor into your college decision?
I didn't visit colleges before applying. It was only like after I got into college, a bunch of colleges, then I decided like to visit my top few choices. And yeah, I think it influenced my decision. But like it didn't actually influence me going to Cornell. It just made me want to go to some other places more. But yeah.
I visited a lot of colleges when I was really little, so I had a basic idea, but recently I didn't get to visit any because senior year is so busy. But I would say if you have the chance, you should definitely go visit at least once. Like if it's when you're little, that's great, but if it's recent, then that's even better.
I feel like you don't need to visit to apply since lots of these colleges they have virtual tours on their website. I know I visited some colleges in like the New York region. It made me definitely not want to apply to NYU because NYU doesn't have like a campus of its own. It's kind of just like interwoven with the city. And as I said before with Columbia, like I kind of wanted a more school spirit, like on campus feeling. I actually really loved Columbia in its architecture when I visited, so I was really sad that I'm not going to Columbia. I visited UPenn in August. I actually didn't pay too much attention because my mindset was like, oh yeah, I'm not going to get in this school. So I actually just like didn't really pay attention on the tour. So don't let your limiting beliefs limit you guys. And but UPenn didn't also let us go into any of the buildings. They only let us like look at them from the outside, which is kind of weird. But yeah, I think if the campus and the campus aesthetic is something you care a lot about, then I guess then looking at the campus could play a lot into your choice. But otherwise, like academic wise, like a college with an ugly campus and a college with a beautiful campus, they're still gonna have like good academic, good professors that care about you, great peers. So like the campus aesthetic is not the most important thing.
Yeah, I also kind of agree. Like, I didn't really visit campuses like before I applied, but I did visit the campuses like when I was trying to make a decision on like where to go. But I think definitely like the campus vibes is was definitely like lower on my priority list. Some of the things that like definitely stood out to me was like the size of the schools I was considering. So like BSMD program specifically, like usually the undergraduate school is like kind of like not very good and really small. So the thing about NSU is that it has like I think 7,000 undergrads or like and then 20,000 students total. So that was definitely like different from the other BSMD and BSDO programs that I got into. So I think class size was important, but in terms of like the vibe of the campus in general, like that didn't really play like that much of a role in my decision making.
Okay, so the next question kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about the application process. It's asking what you think helped the most to get you into your college, like extracurriculars, was it your SAT, was it your personal statement, your essay, etc.
Yeah, so I think definitely like the big thing that differentiated me from other applicants is that like I like my soccer because you know I didn't really have you know I didn't go to ISEF or something. I didn't get like publications. I didn't do like that much research. I didn't have that many leadership roles or anything like that. But I started playing soccer when I was really young. I won 4 state championships. Like consecutively, and then again, like I played football in terms of academy. I was also like speaking to a lot of different colleges in terms of like getting recruited, though they all kind of fell through. But I did like apply to Caltech and MIT with like coach support for like getting recruited to play for the soccer team. So I think soccer was definitely like the big you know kind of factor in terms of my profile. And I definitely made that obvious in my BSMD applications where it's not like getting recruited to play for the school is gonna really play a big role in the admissions decision because medical schools are looking at your application, they're not gonna be like, oh, this kid's gonna play soccer. Like you're not gonna play soccer in medical school, right? So they don't really care about that. But I think like the things that I learned from athletics in general, I definitely like made that clear in my essays, and I leveraged that and kind of put that into my biomedicine as well. Like I just basically intertwined my athletics with my other extracurriculars to make it into a cohesive essay.
Yeah, I think I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but how you present yourself, how you package yourself is really important. I think I presented myself with the values of leadership, of like kind of promoting cultural awareness, of really caring about being with my community. And I had that reflected in my essay, in my supplementals, and in my activities list as well. So everywhere on my essay, like I didn't repeat a certain title I had too much. I didn't like repeat a certain award I had too much. Like it wasn't like really like, oh, like did you see I won this? Did you see I won that? It was more like repeating these certain like values or themes in my application again and again. Like as they scroll through, they can see like I I back up my words and what I say in my essays with my actions. I think I also really made sure to research the school and really understand kind of the applicant that your school is looking for. I applied to the College of Arts and Sciences. They're a liberal arts school. They kind of want like people who are interested in like everything instead of like more like career oriented like Wharton would be. And I also kind of like read into the values of Penn as a university itself, and with like its founder as Ben Franklin, they really present themselves again and again as like a interdisciplinary, multi-dimensional, multifaceted school where people have a lot of passions and they get involved with this and that. Like someone who is a dancer can also, I don't know, do robotics, stuff like that. So I kind of try to present myself in that way in my supplementals as well. Like I talked about how I made dumplings to raise money for cancer, and I mix a lot of my passions together. So I guess the point of that was like knowing how to package and present myself in a way that really resonated with the school and also made the admissions counselors like me.
For top schools, I think good grades only get you to the door, but what opens the door is everything you do except for the high grades. So everyone who applies to these top schools have crazy A's in crazy classes, crazy rigorous courses. So I wouldn't say my 70 AP classes or my like third rank at my school was the thing that got me in. I would say what was important is my leadership and extracurriculars, whether that's in my school's clubs or in my nonprofit, or being a student advisor to the Oregon Department of Education, which was I was chosen as one of 4 students in Oregon. So I feel like those activities were helpful because they're what distinguish you from all the students that all have the amazing grades. And also I feel like um oh, for awards, I feel like you shouldn't talk about them in your essays for sure, but you need to earn a few of those top awards that colleges recognize because they associate awards with the top of people, the type of people who like get them. So if they see that award on your application, they'll see you as that type of people. So I got the National Merit Scholar, which is one out of 26 high schoolers in all of Oregon. I feel like that's really important because it's one of the most competitive awards that US offers. And yeah, I'm really grateful I got it.
Yeah, pretty much what everyone else just said as well. Definitely like I think extracurriculars are most important because yeah, the grades are kind of like everyone has good grades. I don't think the SAT score really matters that much. So I think what like a lot of what I wrote about was about like the healthcare volunteering and community service I did, specifically related to HPV education in the Asian community, and like volunteering I did was like giving like free screenings for cervical cancer and mammograms to like underinsured and underprivileged women in the Asian community. So I think that was pretty unique, or relatively unique at least.
What Lucy told me, or what Lucy said reminded me of a YouTube video I watched, but there's a statistic, I haven't checked this by the way, but it says like there are more valedictorians, like top of their school in the US than there are spots in, okay, I don't know their spots in what, but probably I'm just gonna say top schools, and there's spots in top schools. So it's just backing up the claim that like you can't just be good at APs, good at school to get in these top schools. Like personally for me, I'm nowhere near top 3 at Cali Gable, even though we only have 80 people. I'm not the smartest bulb out there. I think I just kind of knew a little bit more than maybe some of my peers on how to play the college admissions game. Okay, whose turn is it?
Okay, actually, I think just because we're on the topic of admissions, I'm just gonna ask like kind of a follow-up question from what we've been talking about. But earlier we were discussing like personal essays and or like supplements that you write in your admissions. And I feel like it's a really, really important part of the college application. I don't know if you guys would agree with that or not. But I think like we were hearing, it's really difficult to hear like where you start writing because there's so much to write about and not necessarily enough words or just ideas. So I wanted to know like how did you pick what you wrote about and how were you able to articulate really like your message and your meaning with the word limits, especially that they give you, or like just trying to make it as concise as possible?
Okay. So my personal statement I wrote about, wait, let me think. Oh, it was about like my first time shadowing in the operating room. And then kind of like going, so like I basically framed it as like before shadowing that time, like I had been afraid of like asking questions. And then through that experience, I kind of like broke that fear of like asking questions when I was curious, you know. And then kind of tying that into my different experiences, like, oh, like when I made a mistake while volunteering, like at the lab at OHSU, like kind of being able to advocate for myself and like ask questions to my principal investigator and like being able to solve problems together. And then I think I also tied that to like my experience in soccer. I don't even remember how. Anyways, I think like there's definitely like it was definitely hard to kind of brainstorm a good idea to write about. I think I had like a few ideas before that. I had to like iterate through them to actually get something that I thought was actually like good enough to put out there. I would definitely say just like look through your extracurriculars and just think about like what types of meaningful experiences you've had through them. And it's okay if you can't remember like everything. Like I remember there's like a supplemental essay or something about like what type of adversity have you gone through? Like write about a time you've gone through adversity. And like I couldn't think of anything to write about. Like I was like, what type of adversity have I ever gone through? But like I think you can definitely think of something if you spend enough time, and also definitely leverage like something that makes you unique. So again, like I think soccer was something that made me unique. And I wanted to write something about that. So again, like just write something that makes you unique and also just reflect on your past experiences and just write whatever you think is most meaningful.
Wait, Ming Mei, the question is that we each have so many stories to tell. How do we pick like the right one?
Yeah,
Right?
it's just how you write it or how you start writing.
Okay. Okay. I think, well, first of all, to write a story and be genuine with what you write, you first have to do things that are genuine to you and your passions. You can't just be going through high school listening to what your mom tells you to do. Like, I started off high school listening to what my mom told me to do, and I can't tell you like that doesn't come truly from myself. So I'm not able to reflect on it as like I'm truly passionate on this. And I wanted to be able to be genuine to myself in that way. So I would first say like chase passions, chase opportunities that are unique to you at first. And then once you kind of have that, it kind of just came to me naturally. Like this whole musical production, that's something I did all by myself. So writing about it, just in thinking of the story as a whole, it just came naturally to me eventually. Um, like at first my college counselor had to tell me like, yo, your story's bad. So I had to like rethink. But once I like rethought about it and I realized that I want to write about this experience, it just came a lot more naturally to me. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm like a super introspective person. Like the college application process really made me reflect on myself a lot, but I feel like eventually you'll get there. I feel like each of us have a story to tell that is unique to us, and you just kind of have to like take your time and find it. So I'm a little distracted.
Okay, my most practical tip is to write your personal statement first, which should be your biggest and most unique, most important story. And then for each college, you need to make sure that each supplemental covers a important but different part of you. So for the UCs, you could pick 4 prompts from like 10 plus different questions. And I made sure to pick one about academics, one about leadership, one about like my hobbies, and one about community service. So to make sure that they all cover a different part of you that's important to your story, and not just like 4 different leadership experiences.
I think the hardest one was definitely just the personal statements. Is had a lot of issues deciding what to write about for that. The rest of the supplements, most of them were easier because they're a lot more specific with their questions. Since for the personal statement, you basically write about anything. But most of the colleges, for their supplemental questions, like you can only have a few answers that apply to yourself that also apply to that question. So some of the ones that are like the what's a challenge you went through, that's like more broad, but so in terms of like word count, which Mingmei was worried about, I mean honestly I feel like I had the opposite issue where I was like I just wish that the word count was shorter because I didn't really have much to say. But eventually like was able to come up with stuff.
The next question is, any tips for people when writing the Common App? How about the personal statement?
Do you have any other tips? Just start early. Start early. Yeah.
How were you able to balance your time between classes and extracurriculars?
I mean, most of my extracurriculars was just like volunteering that I did like on the weekends or over the summer. So it really wasn't that hard. Like I did tennis, but that also is just like I wasn't that serious about it. It was after school. It was fun.
I would say do as much as possible in your classes so you have as little homework as possible to take up time at home. But I will agree, like I did varsity tennis, so during the spring season, it was super busy. I barely had time for any activities during the school week. But you can split academics and extracurriculars based on weekdays and weekends. So you could do like weekends, I only focus on extracurriculars, and you could try to get all your homework done during the weekday.
I think I was super lucky to kind of have extracurriculars that were more like, I don't know how to say this, but like they weren't to a set schedule. Like some extracurriculars, you have to pull up to this extracurricular like this many hours at this time at this day of the week, but I didn't have any that were or too many that were like that. So I kind of got to like do my extracurriculars around my own schedule. So whenever I like wasn't as busy as school, that's when I would lock in on my extracurriculars. I think I also had extracurriculars that like were busy at different times of the year. Like for like the Vision Envoy Lake Oswego Lions Club nonprofit, it was really busy more like at certain summer events and certain events in the winter. For the cancer fundraising, it was really busy during those 7 weeks, which is from like February to April. I kind of just like had it spaced out in that way. Otherwise, I think I did kind of definitely have to sacrifice some of my social life and personal enjoyment just to be able to have like so many extracurricular commitments and also do good in school. But now that I'm free, I get to do whatever I want, so it feels pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's definitely important to like be able to manage your time. I'm like a big time procrastinator, so that was not very good. But anyways, like when I used to play for the Timbers Academy, I would basically it was like right after school, I would go to practice and I would like basically so I would go to school at like 7:30, 8 a.m. and I would get home every day like anywhere from like 5 or 6 p.m. And then the rest of the night I would have to like do homework or whatever, right? So I didn't really have time to do other like extracurriculars. That's kind of why like I kind of just have the bare bone like hospital volunteering and all that stuff. But again, like I was able to kind of schedule those other things like during the weekend or try to do them like over the summer. So definitely like I think have a idea of like how your days are going to be like and be able to like kind of block out times to commit yourself to certain things. So like during school, try to do as much of the homework as possible. Or like even when you're at home, just try to like uh use your time efficiently. It's like I know it's like really cliche advice, but like that's just what I would give to.
Okay, so to wrap things up with our final question, this is a little bit in hindsight, but what is something you wish you knew before going into the college application process? And this could also maybe just look like something that you really wish you had done in high school, looking back now.
Um Looking back, I would like before the application process, like if I were to be a freshman all over again, I would want to get more involved in like clubs or like try to start my own thing, like what all of these people have been doing, like basically have some type of leadership role in something that I'm passionate about. I think being able to start your own thing and take initiative is definitely important, especially in the college application process. All of these admissions officers are going to be looking at all of these applicants and they're gonna all be like, oh, I'm part of I don't know, Key Club or NHS or whatever, right? But having a leadership role and being able to organize different events is definitely a big differentiator for certain students. So again, yeah, definitely like I would want to be able to create something that has actual impact.
I think for the college application process, my advice would be to be more confident. I think I went into the college application process like not feeling very confident, feeling like very self-conscious sometimes. And like how I said earlier, like when I visited the UPenn campus, I wasn't very paying attention because I was seeing so many like Asian sweats there, and I thought I couldn't be able to compare to them. So why would I even listen to the Torah? Like not letting your beliefs and your negative thoughts dictate your actions and your choices. And I could have aimed higher, I think, and I could have succeeded in my application process. Like I could have REA to a top 5 school instead of ED to Penn. I could have applied to one of Penn's like dual programs. I could have applied to Wharton, but I was too scared that I wouldn't be able to make it. So I played it more safe. And now like from the other side, I felt like if I played it more riskier, I probably would have been fine and been good as well. Um, just know that like when you're choosing to play it safe, like someone just like you who's just a little bit braver, but maybe who isn't even as qualified as you, doesn't have the same credentials, they're just a little bit braver than you and they're grabbing onto that opportunity and they're gonna be the one who get it because they didn't say no to themselves first. So I think like not saying no to yourself, not being self-conscious, that's a big thing.
I would say I did pretty good with clubs, leadership, and academics, but I would change a few things. One is I wish I started earlier on the writing. Like I think I started in September first with my personal statement because I kind of played all through summer and went on vacations and stuff. So I wish I started writing earlier so I could perfect each supplement and each essay. And the second thing is that I wish I expanded my nonprofit more. Like I founded the Boston chapter only a few months ago, but if I did that back in junior year, then that would have been more impact. And colleges really like to see you expand your project into multiple cities, states, or even countries.
I would say the exact same thing as Jory, actually. I think I could have been more ambitious. I think if I were to look back now, I mean, with my knowledge, I would have REA'd somewhere else. I mean, I didn't REA to Cornell, but I would have REA'd to somewhere else. And I guess over high school, I don't really know what I would actually change. Like maybe I would want to do more like volunteering. But honestly, like I feel like what I did was fine. So
Okay. Yeah, since that was the final question, it's now open to like the audience questions, so.
Well, we have a college student from NYU on the Zoom, so maybe you guys can ask a couple questions before we open it.
One of the questions that we didn't get to yet was advice or tips on getting scholarships. Or maybe like grants and just ways to afford college or pay for college.
Ophelia, that's a question for you. Can you hear that?
Hold on.
Oh,
Start again. We'll start over. We kind of have to make the microphone to you. Hold on. Where's the mic?
Check,
Yeah, go ahead. Hi again. No. All right. Speak out.
Goes to the microphone. Oh, yeah, it's not that long.
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, again, thanks for inviting me. It's really a pleasure to be here on Zoom. For getting more like grants, scholarships, and money. I know I definitely did try applying for FAFSA this year. I don't think I received anything, which honestly is to be expected. Oh wow, there's so many more people. Yeah, for everybody specific, they don't, but the common consensus is if you didn't get money from them in your freshman year, you're not gonna get any money from them in your sophomore year. So a lot of things like FAFSA, CSS, a lot of it is just like just to trust you, which is not really what you want to hear, right? But for scholarships, there's so many out there. There's scholarships specifically for college students, and there's internships where you get stipends, which you can put that to college. I think inside school as well, there's like scholarships that you can apply to. Only then you just have to find the ones that are specifically for college students and not high school students, and there's a lot less scholarships for college students than there are for high school students. So get them done like now, get them done in their first year because a lot of this like you might not have something else. So yeah.
Yeah, okay, another question. Do you want me to? Okay, I can just ask. The other question was asking about things that parents can do to help their child during the college admissions process, or just maybe you can think back to something your parents did or something that you think really helped that they do.
My mom, is my mom in the crowd? I need to check.
She's not good. She could be online.
Okay, great, brilliant. I think a lot of things that parents do and that they perceive are helpful are actually like the most unhelpful things ever. Um, and that's like the dangerous part of being like a parent and a child, right? Like you, as a parent, you want to do anything you can to support your kids, but it seems like whatever you do, it's like it's not enough. Like your kid's not taking it, and a lot of the time it's just that you can't shoulder everything your kids have, and the best thing to do is to be there. And if your kid like isn't washing the dishes and like their kid's not like shouldering all of these like chores that they usually would do, there's probably a very good reason why they aren't doing it. And the best thing to do is just to talk to them or like why they like pick up things around the house. Because oftentimes when like your kid is just kind of like not doing anything, that's when like your kid is like the most stressed and like I I think the best things I remember from my college application process was when my mom would give me a platter of like food for snacks while I was like slaving away at my computer. And that's the thing that I remember the most, like being helpful. And so yeah. And if the relationship sours a bit during the application process, don't worry. Once college comes, it's really distance makes the heart fonder. I feel like I have a lot better relationship with my mom now than I had back in high school. So yeah, I think the best thing for parents to do is to kind of sit back and let their child go on this journey because the next year they're really gonna be alone. So yeah.
I think now that all the questions have been asked, if any questions were not answered, it's like open discussion now, so that anyone can ask these panelists or person virtually, just any questions about college or their high school career in general. You can like raise hands. Yeah, start.
I have a question. So obviously you want to be successful in the future. What is your dream? I think you probably kind of have to share that on your personal statement as how you're going to be picked by big schools. Right? If you don't have a really nice dream, why would they recruit you? Could be, potential, in 20, 30, 50 years, you could be that biggest donor. And that's what the Ivy League schools are looking for. So how do you share a dream and those sort of things?
Does anyone want to?
I actually really, I don't think you need to say that because I don't think I did, at least for my personal statement. Like, I don't have a dream job or anything. I'm not even entirely sure what I want to do in the future. What I talked about was what I've already done for the community, like, and how that's changed me because the personal statement is most people write about, you kind of have to write about your personal growth. Like you might write about one memory or some experiences and how you've changed from that. So it can actually be like a lot of people write about like what can be seemingly insignificant things and experiences, and they just make it sound really profound and like make it a great essay. So yeah, I don't think the personal statement is like a place for you to say, this is my dream, because they want to see how you've been changed and how you've grown. Like if that makes any sense. Like once you see the prompts for the personal statement, it makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, I don't think, oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't think I specifically said like what I want to do in the future. I didn't say I wanted to be a dermatologist in my personal statement. I didn't mention like my career goals at all, except for that one little like question where they ask, what do you want to be in the future? And it's just like one word. I just said medicine. So like you don't necessarily have to have like a big, profound dream to get into these colleges. I think they just want to know that they can invest in you and that you'll figure it out and that you're on the trajectory to becoming a leader, becoming a compassionate person, becoming an ambitious thinker. Like they don't necessarily have to know you're gonna be ambitious leader in this exact field at this exact company doing this thing. They could, but like lots of the times we don't have it figured out yet. I think it's unfair to expect us to have it figured it out yet. And even now, like I don't know if I want to be a dermatologist anymore. So if you're not sure and you just like haven't figured it out yet, I think the best thing you can do is like be authentic to yourself and show that you're on your way to becoming like a person that they want to be tied to their school, but like not necessarily writing out what you're gonna do yet.
Okay. Does anyone else have a question? You can just raise your hands. Yes. Do you?
I guess,
Oh,
it's okay. I guess everybody likes the success stories, right? So if your applications are successful, we want to share the experience, but well, we can also learn from those that fail. So I assume that each of you probably got rejected by one or two schools. So what did you learn from that process? What's the takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, again, like I applied to a bunch of schools and I actually got rejected from a lot of them. Like I applied to like a bunch of Ivy Leagues or like all the reaches. The only reach that I really got accepted to was CMU, along with the BSMD, BSDO programs. I think it's definitely important to kind of understand that like uh even if you are like a really crazy applicant, like the college admissions process, there is still like some luck that is involved. Your admissions officer could like they might have just gotten a raise or something. They're really happy when they're reading your application and they decide to like accept it or something. That might obviously that's an extreme example, but I'm just trying to say that like no matter what you do, there is still going to be some luck involved, and having that in the back of your mind, not as an excuse of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't work harder to become a better applicant because it's still going to be some luck involved, right? But like just having that in mind, knowing that like when you get rejected, like it's okay, right? But also like not everyone is perfect, right? Like I don't have a 4.0 GPA, I got a few B's in high school. Like everyone has their flaws. But it's still important to, and I think admissions officers do realize that. Like it's really hard to, be some, perfect applicant or anything like that. But just lean into like what your like your unique factors are and being able to bring those out is definitely important.
I think the college admissions process is not fair. It's not fair at all, and it's a lot of it is about luck. Like a school just might not be looking for for you this year. Maybe they want to have more track athletes, or maybe they want to have more like, I don't know, future engineers because they're trying to make their engineer program stronger. A lot of the times it's like the school's agenda that they're thinking about too, in addition to your application. Also, what gets you into one school won't get you into another. I know someone, she got into Stanford, but she didn't get into Harvard. It's literally like she can't do anything about that. It's just how different schools view her, and it's not a sign that she's not worthy or that her application is bad. Um, like across our country, there's like these, how do you say it again? These like schools that have so many people going into top 20s, Ivy Leagues, cause these schools, what are they called? Theaters, cause these schools have those connections, and also cause like also maybe like they do a weird sport like fencing. I think is one of the easiest sports to get recruited into a school for. There's also rowing. I know like I saw this video where like I don't know, maybe 20 rowing kids are getting admitted to this school's rowing team, and the rowing team can only have like 7 people at a time. So there's lots of like shortcuts and like I don't know these I'm just gonna say shortcuts or like that make this whole system unfair. Um, and at the end of the day, like even if you don't succeed in this one aspect of going to a quote unquote good college, that doesn't mean you won't succeed in the future. Like life is one long journey with yourself. You know, just because you got the leg up doesn't mean that you're gonna be successful forever. Just because you didn't get the leg up this time doesn't mean you're not gonna be successful in the future. Like I know this, I don't know if you know him, but Brian Druker, he made a big discovery with cancer and discovered how to, I think, essentially find targeted therapies for this specific type of cancer. And he got rejected from like all big schools. But at the very end, he was still able to, he went to like his local college, but he was still able to make this crazy discovery. So if it's like, if you got the dog in you, then the dog will show eventually, if that makes sense.
I'll share the most annoying part of my application process. So I was waitlisted by Harvard and I was really excited. Like I like knew I could make it happen. So I wrote a letter of continued interest and asked my counselor to call them and stuff. But it didn't happen. And it just shows how competitive it really is and how hard it is. And it's really out of your control because you never know what you're looking for. And I read an article that said 今年申请美国大学最挤的赛道是亚洲女生医学. So that's me. Like, if they already have enough female Asian pre-meds, then they're not gonna let you in. But I feel like you get in where you're meant to be. So everything is perfect, just the way it is.
Wait, was the question about like how we dealt with the rejection or how that changed? Like, I mean, most of the time, unless you're talking about like early action, when you get like if you get rejected, you get rejected early on. Like most of like my rejections came when I was also getting acceptances, right? Because they're all coming around the same time. So like I just kind of take it and move on. Like I don't know. There's not really much else to say for that. I mean, I got rejected from like I did restrictive early action, and I got rejected from that school, and that was the school I wanted to go to the most, kind of. So that was like sad, but I just had to move on with my other applications because that was in like November. And at that point, then I had to just worry about writing all like my applications for like the 20 other schools I was applying to. So.
Oh yeah, I also remember one other thing. I actually didn't have to deal with any rejections myself. Got pretty lucky because I got in EDs. So I feel like ED schools or like early schools, a lot of them were like safeties or like easy targets. So I didn't have to like face rejection from the big guys because the big guys hadn't even opened their application or like ended their application yet. Anyways, I think it's a mental game. Like getting rejected is definitely a mental game. You have to stay strong and know that good things are coming for you. Like my best friend, she got, I don't know, I think rejected from Purdue, rejected from, I don't even know. It was like maybe like University of Urbana Champaign. No, it's not Champaign. Yeah, that one. But then she like, you know, she took these rejections as like maybe they're just not looking for me. And she just like stayed hopeful and eventually she got admitted to Cornell, Rice, Emory, and she's going to Duke in the fall. So knowing that like maybe you got rejected from one school, but good things are still coming for you.
I also want to add like maybe it's also important to like not put so much weight into thinking about like what school you actually want to go to. I think it's really important to think about like you know the name of the school or like what school you go to doesn't matter as much as what you actually do at that school. Unless you're going into like you know investment banking or something like you need to get into a target like NYU or whatever. Like if you're literally any other you know career field, it's really matters like what you actually do in the school rather than like the name brand that the you know at that the Ivy Leagues actually give you. Again, this comes out in like medicine too, where like the name of your undergraduate school doesn't matter as much as like, what extracurriculars you're actually doing, what experiences you have. So at the end of the day, like there's a saying, rejection is redirection. So just take it and move on and realize that like this can just be more fuel that you can use to actually become successful at whatever school you actually go to.
I know I'm not a panelist of this discussion, but this conversation kind of reminded me of something that I heard from a really good teacher of mine who was talking about colleges and the college process because it's such a stressful time of year and a lot of people put a lot of weight or like negativity on themselves. But basically this teacher brought up Steve Jobs and how he was such a successful figure in this world, but he dropped out of college and he didn't even go to a big college. He went to very public. I don't remember which one it was, but it was like a community college. Colleges, yeah, he went to. Yeah, and he didn't even finish. He dropped out because it just didn't work for him. But if you look at his like now, like he was founder, CEO of Apple. He did a lot of really successful things in his life. So your college that you get accepted into really does not determine how successful you can be. Does anyone else have a question? Oh, okay, I think you're your hand first, so.
You guys mentioned about time, balancing time between academic and then extracurricular. Your way to answer those questions is more about managing your time, do homework at school and everything. But were there any chance that you have to give up something you really like? Like I'm just saying, like maybe if Jack, if at the time that he knows maybe I don't have a chance to go to a D1 soccer school, right? And then he chose to stop soccer, and you didn't do so. But were there any hard decision because of the prioritization of your college, and you give up something? And what was your criteria to do so?
Yeah, so I think Jory kind of mentioned this, like giving up social life. Like for me, I didn't like really go out with my friends like at all. Like I mean, like my friend group like doesn't really like hang out that much anyways, so it's like kind of normal to like just focus on school, I guess. But like you were talking about like D1 and like how I know like for if you're going to a D1 school, athletics is like it's like basically your job, right? So you're doing a job while going to school. I have a friend who got an offer from Brown actually to swim there. And he actually decided. Oh wait, no. Yeah, he was going to he committed to U Chicago to do D3 swimming. And initially when he made that decision to go D3 instead of D1 is because he wanted to prioritize school over swim because he knew that he wasn't going to like be like a professional swimmer. He wanted to focus on academics more. So I think ultimately like when you're thinking about what you want to like give up, whether it's like sports or your social life or whatever, it's important to just consider like what your priorities are. Some people, I know a lot of my friends from the Timbers Academy, because it's really normal for people to get recruited to like top like soccer, so like D1 or whatever, right? For those people, their entire mindset is like I want to go to a school and get scholarship money. So for them, going into any D1 school and getting a full ride is better than going to U Chicago D3 but no scholarship money at all. So again, it just depends on your priorities.
I had to choose between school and music a lot. So I knew I wanted to go into medicine, which means that I can't do music as a full-time job. I can only do it as a hobby. So I couldn't write songs every day. I could only like write songs when I'm free at night. But I could still do it a little bit. Like I published 2 songs on Spotify, and I'll be able to do more this summer. I actually have an album coming up this summer, so you guys should check it out. But yeah, it's really hard. Like you have to give up your biggest hobby for school and for what's more practical, because success as a pop star is like really, really hard. But yeah, you just gotta make those hard choices.
Okay, you sing for us, alright. For what?
Right now?
Alright.
Oh yeah.
Any other questions? I'm just curious. She raised her hand last round. Sorry.
You sure? Yeah. Okay, so I'm just curious, most of people here are Asian population, right? You guys, as Asian descendant, did you feel like you got any unfair treatment during the application or admission process, or do you worry about that, or do something about that in your personal statement or supplemental or anything like, just any thoughts around that?
I feel like they say affirmative action is not going on no more, right? They said that, right? But like we don't really know at the end of the day what's going on in these people's in the admission officers' heads. Like they are people, that means they have biases of their own. And honestly, it's kind of just like out of our control whether or not they want to admit us because of our identity. I think we just have to do our best and be proud in who we are, present ourselves in the best way. And for those things that are out of our control, I think we can't worry about them too much because at the end of the day, like I can't do anything about that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, actually a follow-up question.
Uh-huh.
So I like that mindset, but on top of that, do you like purposely do something or emphasize something in your personal statement? Try to, like, I don't know how to describe that, but like basically like be proud of your culture and show that in your personal statement, or try to not touch that, or do you do anything in particular to show and that you are actually with the Asian identity,
I guess
or try to hide or just not touch on it?
when you do that, I feel like you're trying to guess what they want to see, right? Like you think, oh, maybe they don't want me to be as Asian, maybe that will let me in more, so maybe I'll try to be less Asian, or I can be like super proud that I'm Asian and like really show that, and maybe that's what they want to see. I don't know if we can guess what they want to see though. I think some of them will be super happy to see us being proud of ourselves. I don't know if I could say that some of them want us to act slightly less Asian, but I think to some people being Chinese to them probably means more than for other people. Like for me, promoting my Chinese identity and doing that in my extracurriculars is something I did often. So that's something I really highlighted as who I was. But maybe someone else, like being Chinese doesn't matter as much to them, and so they didn't focus on it as much. Does that help? Do you guys have any thoughts?
Yeah, like what Jory said, we're never gonna know like whether that affected our results. And also, I don't think you should try and either hide or promote your identity just because you think that's what they want. Like it's just really up to you whether you feel like you have a good story to share that follows like their prompt or the personal statement, or if there's something that you think is like better suited, then don't write about being Chinese. Like, or if you think there's something really important that you want to say about being Chinese, then say it. Like it shouldn't, it should be important to you and not just because you think like they either don't want more Asian people or they would like representation.
How did you communicate and work with your parents regarding financial decision? Did you feel like you navigated your very first major lesson in your life, personal finance, which is going to college? And then how did you balance? Like, did you guys ever talk about balances between the speech of the schools versus the cost of the schools?
For me personally, like my parents kind of, I'd say like prioritized prestige over like the cost. They kind of made me like not really worry about money at all. But it was also still pretty important, especially since I'm, planning on going to medical school. Like, we already know that medical school is gonna cost a lot of money. So in terms of like selecting, if you're trying to select between certain programs, like for me personally, it did come into conversation a little bit, but I would say that like finances weren't as important. I don't know if it's the same for other people, but yeah.
My experience is also kind of similar. My parents cared more about prestige, so it was more so like, I guess finances. Like we talked a bit about finances, I think, at the beginning of the process, and I mean, like my school and college counselors, they were like saying you should obviously talk to your parents, and it's different for every family. But my family basically just wanted me to like apply to wherever, and then like then it's kind of like we could think about the finances maybe after, like depending on where I did it. So yeah, it was basically more like if I got into like a really good school, they would definitely support that, and like that was more important than the actual money aspect of it. And also like there's also, I know some people are worried, well, I don't know if actually some people are worried, but some people may be worried about whether like applying for financial aid like impacts the decision of the colleges. And overall, like it shouldn't at all, but like just know that there's also a lot of colleges that are need blind, and the top ones like typically are. So like might as well just apply for financial aid then, because that means need blind means they won't look at like finances at all when making your decision, and they'll like give you whatever I think they calculate that you need.
Maybe to the end, I heard always that you
One more question. I think two people at least said that they regret they started the process late. Like we have to write essays in September, October. So can you tell me when is the process starting? Is it late to be late to be writing the essays in September? When is early?
Okay, never to be too early. Okay. Then I see other, but never to be too early. They wasn't. They started like September, some even later. But they in their head, they might be proceeding this, constructing this for a long time.
Is it September senior year or September junior year? What is senior year? Why would anybody work on it right now?
Well, like the essay problems haven't come out.
We have to.
Also, I think as a sophomore, there's still like 2 years ahead of me that I haven't experienced yet. And thinking it's good to think about writing essays, but like there's a lot of things that might happen to you that might completely change your life between now and when I write my college admission.
Yeah, someone mentioned the Steve Jobs, right? He had the most famous commencement speech at Stanford 2006. One of his 3 key points is connecting the dots, right? You are building the dots right now. If you are 2-3 years ahead of our application, you are still building the dots. When you write the application, that's when you connect the dots. So you maybe will focus on building the dots at the time you're building it, instead of thinking about connecting it. When you're writing it, the time is right, you connecting them together. That's a beautiful essay. All right. I think it's end of, yeah. Oh, you go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think most people start summer between junior and senior year, just because like during the school year, like you want to focus on, I think most people want to focus on school, and then during the summer, like you finally have a lot of time to yourself to like start writing and thinking about those essays. I just say like early deadlines are due. God, I forgot. Is it November 1st? Early deadlines are due November 1st. So typically you want to have it like ready maybe like a week before then for like last minute changes. So writing your personal statement, we said your personal statement should come first as your first essay. Writing your personal statement in October is a little disastrous because after the personal statement, each school still has like their own supplementals to write. So like beyond the personal statement, each school still has like 2 to, I don't know, maybe even 5 supplementals. So you still have a lot of work between the month of October and November 1st, which is why we were saying like September, October is a little late to do the personal statement. Does that make sense? You should do like your personal statement in the summer and then start doing your supplementals, hopefully in the summer and September, October. Because once school starts, it'll be busy. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's a wrap, and just wanted to thank everyone for coming in, thank all of the panelists who decided to come.
Give them another round of applause. This will be. Yeah, it's fun. Not only for yourself, but for the community. Thank you. In the end, I just want to mention a few things, concepts. First, there are some of the youth here actually are our youth council members. Who are here are our youth council members here? Okay. Oh, some of them are graduating. Congratulations for you guys. For first time before taking your college for your college and
Congratulations.
yes, yes. That's a small gift. Because I put in the gift. Congratulations. And secondly, we just want we can share a few words how you did it as a council member and what I mean what is the council work I help you and how you help the community. I'm not. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I was a council member, I think, for around 2 years. And during that time, I emceed at the summer picnic with Lucy. I emceed at the World Health Fair. If you guys were there, I'm sorry, my Chinese was really bad. I'm still embarrassed about it. But I also hosted like mental health and substance use workshops and art workshops a couple times in my junior year. I think this experience was really helpful for me to kind of reflect on and talk about in one supplement in particular. I talked about like how mental health is so stigmatized, especially in the Chinese community, and how I was able to help other youth like reflect on themselves and be proud of themselves through this opportunity that CFAP gave me. So thank you so much, guys, for your mentorship and allowing me to be on the youth council.
President.
Yep.
Yeah, this year I'm the president of the CFAP Youth Council, and I've been a member since 7th grade, the year it was founded. And it's been one of the funnest experiences ever. It's been super meaningful. I got to use my strengths to serve a community that I care about, whether it was with music or emceeing in Chinese bilingually. And it's just been super meaningful, and I grew as a leader, a person, and a performer. So if you're interested in joining, you definitely should. It's an unforgettable life experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have some youth council members who are sending the today. Why don't we have
stand
them
up?
come up?
Yeah.
Like,
Now we'll. There's only one.
yeah，还有那个和那个嘉哥。
Good job, guys. Come on, come on. Also, we're some new members. Some we can say some after graduation, we are welcoming new members.
Just visible. Just slow it down.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right, that's a great
Yeah, so this is what, the 15 years at CFAP?
Oh, yeah. I mentioned that actually this is 15 years our panel discussion. You know, what a question to you guys. Where was the first time we held this meeting? This panel discussion.
15 years.
Just a hint. 5 years ago. 15 years ago, we were right in this room, started our panel discussion. I mean, we held a few in Westmin last few years,
Yeah.
but this year we came by, that's 15th year. I can imagine 15 years, almost a lifetime for many of you guys. But yes, it's great honor to have them, and I actually watching many generations growing. My kids growing up with the panel discussion. As I learned a ton from you guys. Thank you guys for your time, for your service. All right. Okay, we can picture together. Okay, the board, board, take a picture together.
帮我们照个相，要不然。
哦，
手机也可以，帮我们照个相。
你用这个照会也可以，这个照。
一起来吧。We probably need to get closer.
照一下。这边。我这两边都有吧。
OK， 那个普林。都在发。
哎，普林。
好 ，OK， 相机要不要也照一张？我一会儿踹。
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
好，试下我们的相机，别动，别动。就是最前面的那个，
就这个是吧？
对对对，然后应该是所有人都在里头就可以了，自动的，最前面那个。
OK， 镜头好像
看不到吗？
对啊，
我的是不是没打开？
对啊，
是没打开。Let me see, let me see, let me see。是在开了的，你试试。试试，不知道可能是不是太近了还是太远了？看见吗？啊，是吗？
哟，看来是有问题了。
哦，这是啊。Let me see here， 你可能要 click。
哦，yes，
在这儿看也可以，在这里看也可以。哦，是吧
OK，
可以吗？你可以调一下前面那个地方。反正手机上有的可以。
1, 2, sorry. 1, 2, 3. One more. Okay.
OK， 好，谢谢。
Thank you.
Thank you.
这个。
刚刚才